Okay, let us start now. So first of all, we would like to have your doubts, the questions that you have. Let me see, I mean, if we can solve it, good. And if we can't, then maybe I will take some time and I will revert you as I always do, because we would not like to spend the full 1 hour, 2 hours on something which, let's say, we are not able to solve that. So because DAX is something, you don't have the ready-made formula. You always need to think you have to create it. Anyways, so what is the first thing you want to ask me? I mean, those discussions that we had. So let's start from there. Yeah. So
Sir, can we get the ranking after using the summarized DAX?
after using the summarized DAX. Okay, so that's the question. Okay, well, that question. So question, let me just questions. We have to see. Summarize returns the data, and rank is always it needs the data. It should work. Why not? Fundamentally, there has to be no problem. Let's see. So your question is question number one, and it is can we use summarize text in rank X? Okay. So first of all, why do you need this? I mean, you are having some this requirement, or it just randomly the question came up in your mind? How is it?
No, sir, I was doing practice. So I think while doing practice, I was thinking, let me first summarize the data, and then after that, I will work on the ranking part.
Okay, let's see now. So first of all, see now we have used the summarize this the DAX before also. Let's see that where is the summarize. So this is our summarize. What is it? I want the another. Okay, yeah. So if you see this, we have summarized the data based on the sales, and we have given a header for business sale, right? Now, if I need to check the ranking using this data, I mean that's the question. So why not? I mean this data exists, so we can use the ranking on this. So what is this table? The table name is summarize tax table 2, right? So if I need to see the ranking, okay. So first of all, what we will do, let's go here and let's create the table. So I have a country, I have a business say. Let me change this to okay. This is your data. Now, if I need to see the ranking on this, and because this table is the summarize, let's go and create this. Before I do that, today's the table. So let's say I call this as doubt. Let's create the measure here. New measure, and now first of all, what I have to want is the data that I have. Because you see, if you remember the rank X, a couple of the rules that you need to follow. This expression, you have to create the DAX, and then you have to put the DAX over there. If you will write the DAX over here, the things will not work. Okay, so that's a bit of thing. I mean, surprising for me as well. Rank is a function where you do a couple of things you really need. Okay, I mean, the rules you need to follow. So first, I create the DAX. Let's go first of all this thing, because this is a new header for us, business sales. So let's go here and say sum and business sales, right or not? And this is the sales business. I'm just going to name this as tax. It's a sales tax. Okay, fine. Okay, so that's what we have created. Let's see the value. What is the value here? 318391, which is correct. So this means this is working. All right. Now, let me delete this from order. Extra column. Now let's go and use this and new measure. So I want the ranking, let's say rank X. And question number 1. Okay, so let's quickly go and start writing the rank X. The table is Q1, summarize, that's table 2, correct? You have to put the all because well, how it does the calculation. It's going to look up each of the country in this table, and because of the filter context, what happens? It starts giving the ranking for every country 111. Is it doesn't actually take all the countries, So we have to say that filter context has to be ignored. Any filter context, right? So for that, in fact, I can directly write here. So we'll simply go and say, and I'll give here the country, which is this field that you have to ignore this filter context. That is the first thing we learned that day. The next question is business sales. Okay. And the value you need to just avoid it, as I said. Ranking should be based on descending orders, and then we have the last one, which is skip or else. Okay, I gave you the question this as well. So skip means that if you have to, let's say the values, same values, and let's say the ranking is 6, so it's going to give the 6 to both the values. But then the next value, which is ideally supposed to be 7, it's not going to be the 7. It's going to be the 8 because 6. There are 2 6, so that's how the skip actually does the calculation. So it's going to skip the 7th position. If you use the 10s, then what will happen? The next position after the 6 that you will get 6 6 because of the ties, the 7. So I'm going to use this one. Okay. And by default, I think the skip is the one which rank uses. Anyways, so this is done. What else is left in this? Choose a different name. Oh, different name. Okay, so I'll just give this quiz actually. Now, DAX was used before. So let's put this here. And let me solve this. Let's see that. And then you can use the, as I said that day, we can use the as one value function also. Or maybe there's any other function if you know, because they keep coming up with different DAX functions. I can't tell you all, but so anyways, right now, and you know the reason why the total, because this tracking, the one this is being calculated, this all has nothing to do with the total. Total gets calculated separately, right? So obviously, because then in the overall, there's just a one number. I mean, this just a one number, which is 1809. So the ranking comes as 1. Okay, but it does not make any sense in case this type of example. So better you can off it. You can, you stop conditional function. It has no value.
Sir, while doing this question, I was trying to create the table in summarize. Like I was not drafting the existing table, so it was showing me an error that the value for delivered items, like whatever the name I kept for the column, either the column does not exist or there is no current row for this column.
That could be the valid reason because we have discussed this also. If you remember that when we were discussing the summax day before that, when we were using the calculate function, and there was a requirement over there, we were supposed to calculate something which we were not able to calculate using the calculate function, evaluate using the calculate function because of the reason that it was acting on the same thing, which was the summarize function that on the fly the table was being created. And because the calculate demands the criteria first, which we are going to pick from the table, and because the table was not created, table was yet to be created because table was supposed to be created on the fly. So that's where the summax came, because summax demands in summax you first provide the table. So when you have the table, then you can use. So anyways, we will try this. It would be interesting that. So you are actually saying that. Let me just. So this is done. That what happens if I don't want to use the. So what if table is not created actually using summarize? We are creating it on the fly.
On the fly.
So let's see that. So how, let's see how the rank X is going to do. So first of all, we have to create then this, the DAX function. Now, let's go there. I hope everybody understood this, okay? Because this is the same thing we had done before also, and we were not able to use the calculator, if you remember. So now, so this is the question number 2, which is quiz 2 actually, doubt actually 2, doubt to rank X. Next, okay. So rank X needs the table, first of all, that's the point. Okay, rank X. Rank X needs the table. Now, if here what I'm now trying to do is I'm trying to create a table using the summarize. I'm not actually referring to the table which exists here in the system, right? Otherwise, you have seen it works well. So if I create a table here, let's summarize. So summarize table, we give the to the summarize. Okay. And then the group by column, what we want to group. We want to group the country, right? And then let's say the name I'm going to give here. So name I'll give this because I want to create the sales, right? So I'm going to create this total business sales, for example. Okay, in yes, total business sales, let's say, or maybe just business sales. That will we will have, and it has to actually go and sum the field expression. Yeah. Now here, I'm going to, let's say, do what? Again, I'm going to sum the my data sets, correct? Now that is what the summarize is going to do. Okay. Once this is done, summarize is done. Now, expression. Now, expression actually requires a DAX that I can't write here. I have to already, this DAX has to be created. Now, the thing is, if the table hasn't been created yet, which field I'm going to give?
But I think we can give BS, but I think it will not accept because it asks for the DAX which is already created.
Yeah, so this, if I create this DAX, for example, right now this is just a field, but if, I have to go and basically create it first, the total on the BS, outside. But if I go outside, I won't be able to see this field because this data actually does not exist in reality. This is always going to be created right over here. That is the point. Because now the rank X, when the rank X will work on this table, it has to go and put the expression here, which is the sum of the BS. But how am I going to do that? Well, maybe I can try this. If this allows me, no, I can't. I can't use this. Okay. So, using this way, I think we have a problem here. Fundamentally, if I go, I think you won't be able to do this. The table has to be there. Yes. No, it's not going to work. What I'm supposed to put in the value. That's the point. Because I can't put the toy data that we have created before the one which is called this one, sometimes, because that will be a different thing. Well, we can try. Let's see that descending and the ties, let's say, dense. Yeah. The problem is that this is a table. In this table, you have a header, like you have a country and you have a business sales as PS. What it is going to do, this sum DAX actually is calculating the sales from this table, right? So I don't think so. So your question, and then here also there's one more column that, because I have to refer to the column as well here, so, not this way. So let's first of all do one thing. Can I just go and it's all about table actually, right? So what if I write here sum X? Will that make sense? I don't think so, because when I provide the table here, I'm just thinking, so this table, when it goes here, okay, so let's just go and first, yes. If I provide this table to, let's say, for example, this table to my sum x, okay, let me close this. And now I press comma. So far we have two fields, BS and toy data, correct? And this table is created with two columns and expression is BS here. So I'm just going to write here BS, right? So this goes for the sum x. Now the problem is that this will give me the total of the business sales, which is 318319. However, rank X needs the table here. Rank X needs the table here because it's not going to do the total for this. Okay, so I mean that is also, again, I think it's not going to work. What about the filter? The filter also looks for the table. So if I provide the table to if I start writing summarize, okay, the summarize, then table, then group by. Group by is say country, and let's say again business sales, and we want the sum. What's the point? No, it should be there. I don't think so. So ranking, I can be wrong. I'm not sure. I may go and check. You also go and check. I mean, if rank X can be, so if you Google it, like if we can create the rank X on the fly in BI, but to me it seems not possible. We need the field actually. So
Okay, that's very
no. Remember, I can be wrong. Okay, so because there is always a learning scope, but going by what the fields are saying, because rank X needs the DAX. See, first of all, the problem with the rank X is that when you create the rank X, it requires the DAX, which has to be created. You can't create the DAX here. You saw that last time. You'll get the error.
Yeah.
Now, if I have to create a DAX, then the field has to be there. And if the field is not there, because in our case, we want the table virtually on the fly. So, to me, it seems not possible. Okay. Yes. So, yes. What else? Nothing?
No, sir, not from my side.
Okay. So there was a question that can we make open specific in fetching the number of rows based on each parameter. In the case of conflict or more than one value is equal, right? So this question, let's answer this question also, because this question again is a good question. So if you see, we have this top end where we have created the table. Yeah, this is the icon. Let me show you first of all what exactly we are trying to do here. So yeah, this one I guess. Yes, right. So you see, last time we used this function, and I was very much emphasizing on this point. Never get confused with this. You're pulling the top three from this data. The top three rows basically you are pulling, right? But instead of 3, you're getting 5 rows. What is the reason? But the reason is what is the highest number? If you see, let me just sort it out. if you see, the highest number is 2000, and the next number is 1999, and the last number is 788. But the problem here is that 1788 appears here thrice. There are few more values in your data, which actually is the, equals to the third highest number. So top end is not going to lead them. It's going to pull out of. If let's say the next number would have been 1700, then you would always see these three rows, because there's no place for the fourth highest number. When you say I need three, okay, that is how it is. Again, what if you have 2000 in your data 5 times? 2000, 2000, 2000, 2000, 2000. Obviously, then you cannot expect that first the 2000 rows, the 5 rows will appear, and then this one. No, because overall also it has to see that if it is covering the 3 rows or not. The moment 3 rows are covered, the next row will not be there. It will only be there if the values are safe. So if 2000 is appearing 5 times, you already have got 3 rows, then more than 3 in fact. So don't expect 1999. This is how it is. Okay. It is because of the last number where you found repetition, the data comes like this. Because it is supposed to pick the data. So when you said that, so what if I just need the 3 numbers only? Because maybe in our visualization, like cards, we just want to show the total top 3 items, isn't it? Because if you exactly need the top 3 rows, then 2 rows we need to sacrifice. Now, which are the 2 rows? That I don't know, but there will be, right? Which can be wrong. So think about it. But if you are going to simply show this in the card, we show that this is my process top 3 total, then yes, then there's no sense of adding this number again. Right? Then this will go as a wrong number. So what we can do in this type of a scenario is, let me just copy this. I'll create the same copy for this. Let's see, if we can do this or not. So let me create the new table here. And so this is your route 3 topic. First of all, let's enter. Okay. All right. Now see, once I've got this, some of you suggested that, so if we add the sales with the cost, the number will come as unique, isn't it? And you were showing me something like this, that here, based on the this cost, which is this one. Let's create the header based on the addition of sales and cost. Okay, let me press enter. Now you see the number is 2,199 and 1788. That's it, because when it has added the numbers became unique, and that was the whole point. Okay. Now I had one doubt, that if we go and add these numbers like this, is it going to still represent, present the same data? Is it going to retrieve the same data, or it is going to create some problems here in these values, and it is not creating any problem? Okay, which is again something new for me, right? So this is fine, but my point was that instead of using this cost, don't do that, because knows that in this scenario, like 2000, when it gets added with 107, it is still the highest number. But what if this number is maybe negative, or it's 0, and the other numbers are like very high numbers, the bigger numbers? Obviously, when they get added with this, it may be possible that 2000 then will be removed from the top 3, isn't it? Right? Because you never know what is going to be here. We need a systematic this approach for this. Something which can be added to every number, and it cannot actually significantly go and change their value. Because when you add something with this number changes in the calculation, though the picture comes as it is. So see here, in Excel there is a function, and I've used this function in VBA also, when I had the need to create some ticket numbers. Every time I wanted a unique ticket number, right? So I used this in VBA, and it worked like a magic. So my point is that if you have these numbers here, right, adding another field to this can be dangerous. Instead of that, if you use this function called random, not between, but random, like this, what this function does, this generate the random numbers in decimals, not like whole numbers. See, this is a number, right? Now, further, what I'm going to do, I'm further going to divide this number with 100 or something to make this number further smaller, right? So if I just add this, let's say, for example, like this, you see that? In my view, you see, if you add this number with this number, right? If you add this number with this number, the original numbers, their values will not be significantly changed. I mean, they will still be treated as 45, 34, and 22 only if you add these. In fact, they can still, I can go and change this to 4 as well. It's a very small number, 0.001, right? So if you add this number with this number, basically the point is, you will still have the 45, the 34, and 22. So the original numbers, they will never move from those top 3 categories because of the additions. Because if I'm adding something here, I'm adding something here, I'm adding something in every set equally. Because this random number is not going to give me the numbers like somewhere it's giving me 0.42, then somewhere it's giving me 2 or 3. So if rather than if this, if I add these costs as you were doing, if I add this with this and this with this, again, chances are there that if this number is like this number, which is 45 right now, for example, let's say if I just add 1 here and on the other side, let's say there's a 22 here and the other number is 1000. So when you go and add this and this will come in the top performer list. So what we can do, we can just say random and then divide it by 400, 500, whatever. Any denominator you can pick. Because, multiplication increases the size of the number, division decreases the size of the number, right? So by dividing it with, in fact, even with this number, I don't know, see that? Well, this is a very big number. Let's not do that. 400, 200, 300 is fine. So my approach would be that when you're creating this, what you do right over here in the sales, just add this random function is available here as well. And at the same time, you can divide this with the 100 also. I'll just go with this random only because again, this is also a very small number. So whenever these numbers gets added to the sales, we will still be having the same, after the addition, we will not have those scenarios created where actual number is out of the list because of the addition, because random generates almost the same type of numbers and it's always in decimal. Okay, this way. So or maybe I can divide this with 100, 200, 300, whatever. Okay. So when let's see that how we can do this. I press enter. So you see that you are able to get the value. So this is a better approach. So use this. This is the safest one. This will never actually change the real numbers. The numbers which are ideally should be in the top 3. Okay. So they will still be in the top 3. Okay. Unlike when you go and pick this field. Okay. So any other things we have? Is that all? Okay. Now, so guys, we have the if function also. Okay, we have the if function as well. And if is everywhere, in fact. So if can be used as so we use the if as calculated column also, and we use the if as measure also. Okay. Now see, if I ask you, for example, that I need the total item ship numbers, correct? I need the total item ship numbers. I want to see that, isn't it? Will you go here in this data and say that, I want to create a new column and I want to add those items? You will never do that, isn't it? But let's see what will happen here. You will immediately go in the measure. You will create the sum function there as a measure. You will not create the sum as a calculated column, right? But still, if let's say I go and create the sum here and I say that item shape, this is the one, correct? Right? And this is the column. Well, I just keep this as column only because I will not like to create this. Now, this is what you will get, correct or not? Now, what is the benefit of this? What is the benefit of this? if I will go here now in my this data, and I say that, I have this card visual, and I want to use this, the column field here, you see, I have the number. Obviously, this is incorrect because it's adding the total for those 2,000, 3,000 rows. So I say I'm very smart. I'll say that, I'm just going to pick the minimum or the maximum number, because if that number is everywhere, the same number 26 is everywhere, right? Total item shift. So I'm just saying that from here, give the minimum number or the max. Okay, but what is the need of doing this? What is the need of doing this? Right? Because see, this is a calculated column. You are adding the burden to the BI. This is adding the burden. This is increasing the size of your data. And for what? This way you will then go and create the average also. Right? And max, all that stuff. No. So whenever we have to do any aggregation, we always use the DAX as a measure, because they don't take the space. They just take the time at the time, when the calculation is happening, and that's it. Right? So this is the important thing. And also please understand that, when the DAX can be used in other DAX as well. Right? It can be used, but as far as the fields are concerned, you always have to create the DAX on the fields. Okay, so this is not the requirement. Now, the point is that, so where else, which example can be the best example for me, where I actually can say that calculated columns are really, really required here, isn't it? So let's just first, let me delete this. Let's see. Because it's always not the thing that, that your data size will increase, so you will completely avoid the calculated columns. If they are there, they have a reason, obviously. But the reason that you need to see if that is what you actually want. Okay. Now, I create here, aggregations always happens as a measure, not as a calculated column. Okay. Now I have a data here. Okay. Create a table, visual, okay, age-wise, okay, showing the total sales, and then put the remarks. If the sale is more than 5,000, it is good, otherwise average. Okay, so let's say I have created here a table, age-wise, and the sales. Sales, I can take the DAX also, you can use this as well. It's the same thing, you know that, right? Now, here, they are saying that you have to create here a one column which can compare these numbers with 5,000. Okay. And so if the sale is more than 5K, I'll just keep this as 50K actually. Okay. Because this is what the sale is. So if it is more than 50, it's good. How I'm going to do that? The first thing is that, so we will go and now let me create here after the dump sessions. So I'm going to keep this as underscore DAX 5. So underscore DAX 6. Now see, we can apply that function, no problem. But how I'm going to apply this, please just think on this part. Okay. See, if I go here and I say I want to create a measure, let's start the if. It's the same if that we use. So you want if DAX. And to say that if, now what will you say? What will you say? You will say Indian sales, which sales? Actually, it's from the toy, right? Toy. You don't see the table name. When you don't see the table name, I don't think so. You really have to struggle here in understanding what the function needs from you, isn't it? Basically, measures always works as an aggregate functions. If you see all the functions that we have used, they always work as an aggregate function. I'm not talking about the tabular functions. Those are different. They return the table. So you can't say this is the aggregate because they don't even return the scalar value, but otherwise, right? Now, if I have to use the if as a measure, I have to create this function in a manner that it looks like it is working as an aggregate function. How it is possible? How I can do that? Are you getting the point? Right? Because you see, here it's not going to give the field. This is if stands here for the logic. So what we will actually do here is that we will wrap this function here with the aggregation. Now we need basically the total. We don't need the average, isn't it? If we need the average, we can use the average. We will simply use the sum. Okay, sum. And in the sum, I will now, sum allows me to use the column name, so I'll happily use it. I'll say toy data. And this is my sales. Look at this now. Okay, so I'll say that if the sales is greater than 50,000, it's excellent. Otherwise, it's poor. It's average. You're getting the point. So whenever you have to use the if as a measure, you can't just simply write the if with the logic. You have to create that logic by introducing some aggregate function. Because here the functions work on the entire column. Right? So that is the thing you always have to remember. This is the only thing. So if I go and put the if data, so it's everywhere actually excellent. Okay, so this is how we can create this. And so I'll just get this as that's shit out. Just to check, see that it's coming. Okay, so you have to wrap this function in this way. Otherwise, you will not be able to use the field. Generally, in Excel, what we do, you simply say, this is the field, and if this is greater than this, and like this. So this is the point I'm trying to show here. Because you see, when you use the sum as total sales, then the function goes here. Obviously, filter context automatically applies. So it's actually not, it's not comparing this number 3,18,319. It's not comparing this number with 60,000. Otherwise, you would have got here excellent in every row. When the DAX goes here, the filter context always applies. That's the rule. So when we are saying the total, it basically the total with each group is 0 to 6, and that is this total. That is this total. This is how function will work. Okay, so this is something you need to understand. Now, if I use this the function, if you call it here, how I can use that? Now see this. Okay. If let's say I ask you one thing that you know what, the day by day sales that we are having. This is a question. Let's pick the second question. Yeah. So okay. So there's more. Now put the remarks that if the sale is between 5 to 15, it is good. Otherwise, average. Okay. I think this is not required me about the done this. Okay, so maybe so let me change this question. The remarks that if the sale is between 50K and 60K, for example, then it is the good. Otherwise average. So here we are trying to say that between 50K to 60K, it is let's say it is bad, and it is bad, and less than something which is less than 50K, it's poor, for example, right? And if it is more than 60K, then it is more than 60K. So new formula, let's make this. It is good. And I should say, and let's not use the negative or good. And this is, let's needs improvement. Okay. So we have three conditions now. Well, the same way we can create the three conditions also here. The nested if, right? So basically, let me copy this new measure. So if in the if also we can use the same way, there's no challenge. The only thing is that you have to use the aggregate here, okay? Because if otherwise will not be able to, then you use this as a measure. So here I'm going to say that if the sales is greater than 60,000, so let's say, first of all, I'll say if the sales is less than uh, 58,000. Okay, so it's improvement, and in the false now we'll use the one more if. I'll use if and actually. You see, we have if and also. Okay, few of the functions you have got in here from Excel. So now we run into some sales. Okay, sales, and well, better you use the DAX here. That I mean, because I have to write this again and again. Already, if you have created, so if and sum is greater than equals to 50,000 and sorry, I have to close this. Logic 2, sum, again the same field, toy, sales is less than equals to 60,000. Correct? Okay. Then let's close this, and then we'll write good. Okay. If it is not the case, now I see something again. Let me see what happened here. So sorry, got this. Yeah. What's this? Yeah. So if it is between this, then you are good, and otherwise, so otherwise need improvement. Well, we'll not, I mean, spend much time on this because if conditions we know them so well. Okay, but I just wanted to tell you that yes, you can use these things also here. Let's see first of all if this allows me to create this. Let me drag and drop here. Okay, so now, okay, so there's something wrong here. Seems like 50,000 actually, I think, and 68,000 is okay. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So the sale is less than 50,000, needs improvement. Now this is what is happening here. Something wrong? 50,000, 50,000. It goes to the NI. Okay. Now it should actually stop here in the case of less than, okay, sorry, this is not less than, this is 60,000. What we are doing here? Okay, I have to return actually here. Sorry. This should be the excellent actually. And here we go. Okay, so now you have got this right. And as you know that this excellent and excellent, again, the calculation will happen on the entire data where it's going to pick this same, and it's always going to be excellent because it's a process total. Okay, so I mean that we can offer it. Definitely we don't need this. Okay, now the next thing which I was telling you that how to use the if as a calculated column also, and then I tell you the basic difference between the calculated column and the measure, right? One difference you already know that first preference has to be using the any function as a measure because they don't occupy the space on your system. They don't take the space from your, any of this visual, and which obviously means that the calculation will be faster. Okay, that you already know. So it is always said in the BI that always create the measures, right? But then in few cases, calculated column cannot be ignored, and that is what I'm going to tell you. Now suppose what I'm going to do. You have here, let's say, okay, so let's say you have here, let's pick this one, item share. Okay, now there are three things that I want to do, or maybe only two things, for example, that any day if the shipping has gone more than, let's say, 50, okay, more than, let's say, 20, okay, I will say that high sale, otherwise low sale. Okay, I want to create this. Now, this particular thing I will do here. and then I tell you that what is the difference basically. I'm creating this here. See this. If I create here in the new column, the if function, it is going to work on each of the row one by one. Like in Excel, it happens, isn't it? I mean, it's not going to, there's no filter context here because this is already, I mean, row by row, the calculation happens. Okay. It's always going to pick this number, this number, this number. Okay. So I'll simply say that if item shipped is greater than 20, I say high sale day, for example, or maybe high ship day. Twice, I say low ship day. You can add, I mean, more also. I'm just adding the two things. And here, what I'm going to do, shipping status. Okay, I'll say shipping status. Okay. So once you have created this, you can create this in Power Query also. No problem. Then also the data will come here in this way only. You know that, right? Now see, once I've created this, basically, we understand this is taking time. This is going to take, I mean, impact my speed. Right now, the data is very small, but you may have more tables also here. But you see, one thing you always have to remember that if I ask you one thing, can you show me the report? Can you show me the report? For example, I want to see the data where I have the countries and I have the items, everything I mean, based on high shifting. Can you provide me some filtering? Isn't it? Because you see, when you create the DAX, DAX cannot be used in the slicers, right? Because they are not the fields. We can't put them in the slicer. Okay. But here you have created a column, and this column will behave like other normal columns. So if I go back here and let's say this is something I need, I want to filter my data, just going to create here, let's say some data here, and not just the data, I mean the visual as well. So you put here some categories, some items, and you have some sales, something like this, for example, right? And now I say that, okay, I want to see this based on, okay, so let's just keep this items on. I want to see these items. This is their sale, total sale, right? I want to see that under the two categories which you have created, how they are going. I mean, which items are falling under the high sale day and the low sale day. This is just one of the examples I'm using, okay? You can create anything. So if I put the field here in the shipping status, this will be treated as a proper field. And this is very good, right? So, I mean, it's not that we are totally against of this, but from the perspective of performance, we don't want to create them unless you have this sort of requirement. So now if you go and say that, I need to see the high shift day, what are those days? And then, the low shift days. So you see these numbers will automatically change. I mean, this will behave like a normal, the slicer. Okay. This is basically how it is. And if I just put here the shipping status like this, and because this is the text. So what if I say that, I want your count here. Okay. I can have this count as well. But now this count actually is, so let me just remove this first of all. You see, this count is telling me the total shipping count, right? But if I just click on the low shipping count, this tells me that how many times under these categories we have this low shipping day. Okay, based on these things. Okay, so this is basically the idea. Okay, so whenever you create any calculated column, it takes up the space, it absorbs this, this, what do you call, it's going to take the memory also and use the memory, and of course everything, because data, it is going to cost us first. But you will have the new header also that you can go and create this. I mean, you can use this in your reports as well. Okay, so if I simply create some visual, so let me just remove this. I have this, and I'm just going to create something like this. See, I have the visual here, and if I want to see low shift, this is all going to work. Okay, this is all going to work this way. Okay, so please remember this point. So if it's a function that you can use as a measure, also you can use as a calculation, as a calculated column also. This is the point. Okay, but otherwise, generally the other DAX like calculate, the summarize, all that, all the functions that you have learned, you're not going to create any calculated column for that. That does not make any sense. Whenever you have to do something row by row, something you have to compare, yes, you can do that. Okay. And now also I want to tell you one thing, that also like this is something we have created. If you are using, okay, so let me just say that, so they are basically, okay. So let's use the same thing, using the another function which works like a if, and some people prefer using that function switch. Now switch is a function that you can again use instead of the if. Here, switch. You have to give the expression and then the values and then the result. Okay, like this. Okay. If you keep pressing the commas. So the expression goes here. Okay. And then the value 1, the result 1, and then value 2, result 2, value 3, result 4. This is how it is. So if I have to do, for example, so what I'm going to do, I say that, if my item sales, so let's say, just going to put here the true, and the value 1, which is, I'm simply going to say, item ship is greater than 20, then the result has to be high ship day. Okay, like this. And otherwise, I can just put here the other one, which is low ship day, for example. Okay, let's see that. So let's see that. Make sense? Right. So, I mean, let me just say low. So, writing the switch function is the another option. Now, if you're wondering that why I'm using the true, basically, you always have to write the true when there is some formula you're writing. When there is a formula you're writing. Okay, so you have to write this as true only. Okay, and please understand, this is just a one condition, but switch generally is preferred over if in case of multi conditions. Like here, I mean, I said that if you're greater than 20, then do this, otherwise do this. But otherwise, I mean, I could have written this because, here's a value to watch. So you can, I mean, go and write, you can compare the other values also, right? Like if this is greater than 20, it goes here. And if let's say, I say that items shipped is, let's say, greater than, for example, 25, like this, or maybe less than something. I mean, you can keep on adding the conditions here. In the value 1, you compare the fields and what result do you want. That basically goes here. Okay, this is the point, right? Especially if you, let's say, have, let's say Jan, Feb, March, April, you have the months, and now you want to say that anything which comes as Jan or Feb or March, it has to be quarter 1, doesn't it? So that way, I mean, you can put this here. You can write the if also, but switch is very simple. In the value 1, just say that month equals to Jan, just put here 1, month equals to Feb, then again put the 1, and like this. Okay. So switch is, you can, I mean, see more examples on the internet, but there's hardly anything. These are just baby functions. So wanted to bring this in your attention.